much. I'm very happy to be here for the first time. Hebrew Discovery Center. I never knew about this place before, but I'm happy to be here. It's a beautiful place, and we will have a lecture. It's called Torah and Science 2. As you can see right there on the table, I brought many CDs and DVDs, all free. You can have as many as you want, as long as you pass them to your friends. One of them is the DVD Torah and Science in English. It's a 4-hour film that changed thousands of Jews and made them aware of God and the Torah, and that everything is 100% divine. It's a very powerful film. This one I made as a continuation to that film. It's called Torah and Science number 2, Knowledge in the Written and the Oral Torah, that leaves no doubt that Chazal, the sages, everything they spoke in the Talmud, the sources of everything they say came directly in Mount Sinai when God gave us the Torah. So some of the slides, as you can see, will be in Hebrew, but I will translate as I pass from one slide to another. After close to the end of the lectures, if you have any questions, not necessarily about this topic, then you can ask me. And I understand that we will have another event on Thursday in Hebrew, so Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll talk about it in the end. So as we see, the Talmud brings many informations about certain things that are happening in nature, that when a person is a little bit clever, he sees right away that a human being was unable to know these things. Now, why it's important to know? When you read a book and you know it's a human book, someone like you and I wrote it, it's impressive, but it's not obligating me to anything. He has his opinions, he has his knowledge, and that's just about it. But when we have a book that we understand that is the book that was given by the creator of the world, now everything is completely different. Why it's so different? Because if God really gave a book, and He gave the Torah, how can I or any other human being ignore the instruction of my creator? There's no way to win against your own creator. If He recommended you to live in a certain way, and you want to live in a different way because you think you know better, think again. In the end, you may be on a train and it looks like you're traveling to the right direction, but in the end you find yourself in the opposite destination. So this is the idea of all these lectures, is for only one reason, really. It's beautiful, it's brilliant, it's entertaining, it's beautiful, fine. But one thing, it's behind it. To wake up the mind of the people to realize life is not just coincidence, it's random, or it's a picnic. No. Life has a lot more meanings than what people think. We are here X amount of years, nobody knows how many years, 10 years, 20 years, 50, 70, 80, 100, that's it. We are here, it's over like a blink of the eye. Before you realize it's over, all these infatuations and illusions and all these parties and vacations will be over like a blink of the eye. And the question is, what did you take with you to the life of eternity? This is the goal. When a person goes according to the Torah, one day he will leave this world, the soul comes out of the body, goes back to God, and He will ask you about your lifestyle. What did you do? What did you do positive? What did you do negative? And every person will have to face the report about his life. There's no way to run away. You know, everything is recorded. The Torah say everything you do is recorded and filmed. And in the end, every beep that we made in our life, whether it was in public, whether it was in hidden rooms, it will all be displayed on a big screen in front of the court of heaven, and everyone will have to deal with that. That's when the time when the person would realize, I may have made a big mistake in my life. I did everything according to my pleasures, and I wanted to entertain myself, but I did not follow the rules. Now remember, if it's human rules, I can care less. Everyone can choose to do whatever they want. You want to violate the rules of the country, you're subject to the punishment of the police, the court, it's your choice. Anyway, it's temporary. One way or the other, it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's over. Over here we are talking about eternity. Eternity means even 1 billion years is not even the beginning. A person can earn eternity of pleasure, or God forbid the opposite, by few bad choices that he makes in this life, and then face the reality, which will be very bitter. So to prevent such thing, I've been giving lectures for about 16, 17 years by now, with Hashem's help, and it's been very successful, and many people going to my website, divineinformation.com. There's about 1,000 lectures there in different topics, and it's affecting by now, even life of more Goyim than Jews. Because how many Jews you have in the world? 13 million Jews. But now he went to the Goyim, to the Gentiles, in more than 105 countries. And it's affecting tens of thousands of Gentiles every month to make tshuva, to become religious and keep the 7 laws God commanded them. You understand? So the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew, that the Jew has 613 commandments to fulfill, even though most of them does not apply today because we don't have the temple in Jerusalem, and many of the laws who are subject in Israel for the farmers do not relate to us. But we still have about 50 rules annually that we have to keep daily, which means the holidays once a year, the Sabbath every 7 days, kosher, tefillin, praying, being honest, being, not being a murderer, all kinds of things that applies to our days. It still applies. But like I say, most of the rules do not apply to this generation, so it became a lot easier than what it used to be. But still, many of the Jews, if you ask them, if you take about 11 million Jews from the 13 million who live in this world and ask them what's the purpose of life, what are they doing here, they have no idea. Everyone would answer the same answer. The goal in life is to make money, to be a professional, to be successful, to build myself a nice mansion in Great Neck or in Beverly Hills, to drive a nice Mercedes, to wear beautiful clothes and nice jewelry. That's going to make me happy. Baloney. Nobody ever became happy from these things. Guarantee, 17 years I spoke to thousands of these kind of people. None of them gained happiness from that. Convenience, yeah. Happiness, for sure not. Ask Bill Gates in Israel in an interview on television. You're the right person to ask. Does money bring happiness? He got upset. He really took it serious. He said, absolutely not. Only convenience, but nothing else. It doesn't bring any happiness. You ask anybody else, he'll tell you the same thing. After experiencing it, you will realize many people thought, once I'm going to make my money, I'll be a happy person. Yeah, for a month, 2 months, until you get used to it. And that's, the bitterness comes right back. However, there is something that does make the person very happy, full of joy, smile, is calm, is relaxed, is full of satisfaction. What is it? Connection with God. And the right way to connect with Him is through His Torah. There's no way to connect with Him by kissing the mezuzah. Many people think if they kiss the mezuzah, they connect with God. That's a nice thing to do. It shows appreciation, but it doesn't connect you. Many people think that there's other ways to connect with God by going to a grave of a righteous rabbi, and maybe automatically it's an express connection to God. All these things help a little bit. I'm not saying no. But the only way really to connect is to live according to His rules. The more you learn in His rules, in His Torah, the more holy you become. And there's a proof in the Torah that says, Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani. There's an obligation to every Jew to be holy. How can we be holy? God say, I'm holy. I chose you from all the nations to be my children. You are the chosen nation. You are the chosen people. You must be holy the way I'm holy. You are my children. You represent me. I didn't put you in the world to imitate the Goyim, the way they dress and the way they talk. No. You are special people. You must live according to the guidelines the way I directed you in the Torah. Problem is, most of the Jews grew up in a non-Jewish environment. They went to public school. They have no idea what the Torah means. I meet Jews today in the world, in different places that I go, they don't even know who the fathers of the Jewish nation. They don't know Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Today I asked someone who was the children of Yitzchak. They didn't know it's Yaakov and Esav. They don't know elementary things, nothing. Many people do not aware of the Torah. How is a person going to be holy or righteous? He has no idea what the Torah is. It's like you're trying to go to a wedding of your best friend and you don't have the address. You can ask direction as much as you want. You won't find the place because you don't know the destination. You don't know. First, you have to know where you're heading to. Once you know, then you're going to see what's the best direction to get there. Most of the Jews in the world, and the Gentiles for sure, don't have direction in life. They were brought up in such a corrupted way, and such a false way, that they have no idea what they live for. And they don't understand that everything they think is success is nonsense. None of it will bring them to the place where they're supposed to get. Not only that, if people think that we came to this world to enjoy physical lifestyle, Think again. If God wanted you to come enjoy what you think it's the right thing to live, you would be a monkey. You don't need to be a person. Everything that you love to do, the monkey also loves. Sports, they like. Women, female, male, female, relationship, they also like. Food, they like. They do whatever we do. They jump better, they run better, they don't have to work 30 years to buy a house. They don't need vaccine, doctors, this, pregnancy, 9 months, raising children, changing diapers, 2 hours a day in traffic, 4 hours. They don't have all this nonsense. Life is much easier for them. He was born, right away, he gives birth, the baby right away, play basketball, no problem. There's no problem. They have much easier life. They go to the garbage can, they rip the garbage, the squirrels in New York. You come in the middle of the night, you see on the driveway so much food on the driveway. They didn't know which one to choose. Chinese, Persian, Israeli, Italian. They're not suffering, they're eating leftover. So bottom line, no matter what you're going to think that life is to enjoy here, if that was the purpose, I will prove to you 100% that if this was the plan of the creator of the world, he did not need to make us human beings with intelligence and a divine soul. He didn't need to make us so sophisticated. If he wanted us to enjoy physical pleasure, we would be another species in nature, like the dogs or the monkeys. However, since he made us with a divine soul and intelligence, and we are the only species in nature from 2 million different species, we are the only one who has a free choice to do what we want to do. All the animals live by instinct. You'll never find an animal that is ready to attack because he's hungry. A lion wants to eat the zebra. There's no way to stop him. You cannot talk to his heart, to his intelligence, convince him it's not the right time, we didn't finish to take pictures, come back in 20 minutes. There's nobody to talk to. However, a person, he calculates what he hears and he makes a decision. That's why we are the only species in nature who is subject to reward and punishment. Even without the Torah, every country in the world you go, without religion, the secular law, there's jails, police, judges, executions, all kinds of things. Why? Everybody understands. If you did something wrong, you could have done the opposite. You chose the negative way, you're going to pay for it. So it's needless to say that the real judge, the honest, the ultimate perfect judge, which is God, he knows how to judge people according to what they deserve. So let's go. This is just an introduction. Let's go to some proofs that the Torah had knowledge that science discovering today that nobody was able to know unless if they are the creator of the world. And after that, the conclusion will be, it will give you enough material, something to think about. If the book is divine, maybe it's about time to stop ignoring it. That's all I'm trying to achieve. We're not going to learn the entire Torah tonight. Only one point, to go home with something to think about. Wait a minute, there's a divine book out there. Could be in the shelf in my living room or in my bedroom. And I never open it. It's full of dust. And maybe it's about time to see what my Creator wants from me. What's His recommendation to me? Maybe I'm losing big time. That's all. If a person left tonight here with this kind of thoughts, I'm a very happy man. All right, so let's move on. Everything I'm talking about is right behind me. We know that the world today has 72% water. Only 28% is land. Most 3/4 of the world is water, tons of water, rivers, lakes, oceans. And the Torah said that in the beginning of the world there was 6 days of creation, and God created the water. But once He created the water, He separated between heavens. He opened the heavens like you open a pita bread. You open it, when you heat it up, it's blown like a ball. And that's how He He separated between the top heaven to the lower one. ויבדל בין המים אשר מתחת לרקיע לבין המים אשר מעל הרקיע means now we have water under the heaven and we have water above the heaven, above the sky. So water under, you don't need to be God to know. You go in the street, you see water everywhere you go, lakes, rivers. So you see there's waters here. Well, where exactly is the water the Torah speaks about above the heaven? If you take a plane or a spaceship, you don't find anywhere in space water. But the Torah is divine, cannot have mistakes. If you find one mistake in the Torah, you're going to have a very serious problem. Because now everything will be a question. Because it's not divine. God doesn't make mistakes. even in the most sophisticated thing, God does not make mistake. If you find a mistake, then you know it's a person wrote it, not God. If a person wrote it, I don't want anything to do with him. He's not going to tell me what to do, no matter how smart he is. But if God wrote it, that's a different story. So let's see. So the Torah says there's more water above the heaven than water under the heaven. But we don't know where they are. Where are they? Where is water? Let's see. In the book of Tehillim, Psalms, chapter 148, just before the end of Tehillim, 2 chapters before the end, we have a beautiful part that we sing every day in the morning when we pray. We say, Alleluhu. King David called people to praise God. Alleluhu, Shmei HaShamayim. He says to the heavens, praise God. And the water that above the heaven also, I ask you to praise God. And the question is, which water he referring to? That's the same question that I say in the Torah. Where is this water? In the oral Torah, which was given together with the written Torah combined, you cannot understand one verse in a written Torah without checking what the oral law taught us about it. There's no way to understand. So in the oral Torah, Chazal writes, this is what we call the Talmud, the Gemara. It was written about approximately 2,000 years ago. For 1,300 years it was transferred from hand to hand, verbally, until the Jews went to the exile after the destruction of the Second Temple. And Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, the president of Israel, wrote down the Mishnah. It's the sources of all the oral laws. And then the Gemara's commentaries about all the oral laws, making it more clear. And that's the Talmud, the famous Talmud. So this is what the Talmud has to say. There is water, there's upper water that are standing in space according to the order of God. God ordered them to stand there and not to fall. And they are frozen like ice. Glidei kerach. In Hebrew, the word glida, it's ice cream. Glida, it's come from the word something frozen. So it says, Chazal saying, Kfuim ke glidei kerach. Which water they are talking about? These water are more than the water that we have in our world. Where does it say it? This is a source in Midrash Rabbah. It's one of the Midrashim. In a chapter of Bereshit, the first parasha, in chapter 4, and this is right there, the source. There's more water there than here. Which water they are talking about? If you know, there are billions and billions of stars. Many of them, the temperature there is very, very cold. Could be 300 below zero, could be 500 below zero. So as soon as you come near that star, you freeze right away in a second. And there are stars that the temperature there are hundreds of degrees, so as soon as you come near there, you burn in a second. The only star actually from trillions of stars that has the right temperature for a life of people is this place, the Earth. And this is very interesting. If you know about the Milky Way, there's 9 stars that look like a shape of a banana, like an arch. And there's one star that is like a hand took it and put it aside. It's not in the right track. All of them are shaped mamash exactly like a banana. But there's one of them that was moved to the right. Which one? Earth. If Earth would be exactly where it's supposed to be, in the right track, we wouldn't be able to live here. We'll all burn in a second. But it only stands in the right place from unlimited space. Space is huge, unlimited. You take a little tiny ball and put it in space. That's the only place the Earth could be for us to live here. You move it 1% to any direction, we either freeze or we burn right away. Cannot be coincidence that from trillions of stars, there's a tiny one who stands exactly in space in a right destination from the sun. In the only place where life could be, it's where the Earth is. Cannot be coincidence. You know what it's like? It's like that someone took a little glass and put it in the bottom of the ocean. Somewhere in the bottom of the oceans. And he take you in the airplanes, and the airplane goes about the ocean, and he say to you, I want you to take this marble, this round marble, throw it from the plane, and make sure you hit right into the glass, which is in the bottom of somewhere in the oceans. What's the chance that this marble will fall all the way from the plane and fall exactly to the bottom of the ocean, right into this glass? Is there any chance something like this can happen? If something like this can happen, everyone will be shocked. How a person did such thing. This is exactly how the position of the Earth compared to the sun and the rest of the galaxies is only in a place that it could be in. Anywhere else, no life. Only there. So it cannot be coincidence. Somebody planned the entire system. So that's right away, for someone who's clever, it's a great proof that there is a boss to this creation. So now, billions of these stars are thick ice. Thick. 10 meter, 100 meter, could be hundreds of feet, thick ice. The star is round and it covers with water, but the temperature there from the creation of the world was so cold. From the second that God created the world, it was already so cold that this water never been water. There were always ice. In the moment of the creation, they already created ice. So from the minute this entire thing, one of them, if you melt one of these stars, it's already much more water than the water we have in our world. We have 72% water, but we are a tiny star. There are stars who are 1,000 times bigger than Earth. And if they cover with so much water, all you have to do is take the amount of water in one of these stars, it's already more water than here. So there is much more water above our heaven. We did not know it, but the Torah knew it without NASA, without a telescope, without picture. Nobody knew 3,000 years ago to write there's water above heaven. Nobody knew. Now I'll tell you something. Sometimes there is people that saying, make a wish. There's a star falling. You see like a line of fire in the sky, and everyone makes a wish. First of all, it's nonsense. The wish won't help you anything. That's besides the point. But what is this? Does the star really fall? What happened? What is this line of fire that we see for a few seconds sometimes in heaven? Huh? Asteroids. But why is all of a sudden it looks like a flare, like a fire? No. I'll tell you what happened. The stars are always in a movement. They're always in a movement. Sometimes they come very close to the sun. Every 70 years, every 200 years, every 300 years, one of these stars come to the nearest place to the sun. What happened is, once he arrived very close to the sun is a huge ball of fire, 15 million degrees Celsius. That's the temperature in the center of the sun, which is about 22 million Fahrenheit, like here in America. 22 million degrees, 80 degrees we're sweating. 22 million degrees, this is the center of the sun. And the sun is about 1,000 times bigger than Earth. So just imagine what a ball of fire full of energy who constantly, nobody understands where this energy comes from. So what's happening here, once the star comes very close to the sun, it melts the edge of the star, and there is millions of liters or hundreds of millions of liters of water are melting in seconds, and they falling like the Niagara Falls into space. And the sun is also a projector. The sun shows you this water falling, and it looks like a line of fire, but it's really water. A huge amount of fire, if it would fall on us in one shot, it would cover all of us with water. Try to understand what I'm talking here. But we're lucky that we're very close from there, and it's fall and evaporates in space. If it would fall on us, it's like, imagine the Niagara Falls falls on your house in 1 second. The entire amount of water. What can you do? This is a huge amount of fire. So this is what happened when they come near the sun. So let's move on. Amar Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Yoshua says in the Gemara, the entire world drinking from the upper water. In Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, it was written 2,000 years ago, chapter 5, it says there are two kinds of rain. There's one rain, it's a circle. What does it mean? There's water that evaporate from the earth, with the heat. They go up, and then they become clouds, and then they explode, and then there's rain, and then again. It's a whole thing, go up and down forever. This is what we see, clouds. You get cloudy, you get rain. But there's another source to the rain. Many people do not know it. What's the other source? The other source is when God wants to bless the land. He opens his treasure up there and send water to the earth, and this water, it's special water that gives the energy to the seeds. And this is the rain of blessing. Where does it say it? Deuteronomy, thank you, Deuteronomy 28 verse 12. יפתח השם לך את אוצרו הטוב את השמיים. God will open you his special treasure. What is it? It will open you the heaven. And then the water will come and we'll have blessings. So the water that we see whenever it's raining from the clouds, yeah, it helps the trees and the fruit to get what they need. But the seeds that needs this special blessing to grow, every once in a while there's a special rain will come not from the clouds. It comes from this water that I told you before. It comes exactly as God planned to earth and give blessing to the seeds, and all the trees and everything grows back. So this is interesting that the Gemara was telling us about waters that are above heaven when nobody else could have known it besides the creator of the world. In the morning of June 30th, 1908, there was a massive explosion in Tunguska in the center of Siberia. A huge meteor, size, weight, 30,000 tons, hit Earth. And because of that, energy, who is equal to 12 megaton, 12 megaton is 12 million ton. A refrigerator is about a quarter of a ton. So 4 big refrigerator is 1 ton. Multiply by 12 million, this is the amount of energy, which it's a massive amount. So it's like 12 million tons of explosive. Today an Arab wants to blow a bus, 10 kilo of dynamite, explode the entire bus. Everyone can die, God forbid. 10 kilo. We are talking 12 million ton. It's an incredible amount. Eat in the center of Siberia. First we have to understand, if it would eat anywhere else in the world is very big. Any other place it would fall, there would be the end of the world. If it would fall in the middle of Los Angeles, you have 50 million people died, all the building collapsed, stock markets, nothing. And a complete anarchy. If it would fall in Europe, in New York, any other place, nobody would ever be able to recover from such a thing. It's like thousands of atomic bombs in one shot. But it fell in a place that there's hundreds of thousands of miles of ice. Right there in the center. There's one more time that it happened. Much smaller piece. In the desert of Arizona. It made a hole 17 kilometers, which is about 11 miles, almost the size of Manhattan, in the middle of the desert near Arizona. Also, that smaller piece, this meteor, this asteroid that fell and hit the desert of Arizona, it will fall in any civilized city and will also be a disaster. Could be 50 million casualties, and the financial world will collapse, and I don't have to tell you what would happen. So twice in a modern history, something like this happened. That a piece broke from a star, a huge piece. Sometimes this piece can be like the size of New Jersey, the size of Los Angeles. And it falls in a very, very fast speed, and our ball is a tiny ball. If it comes into our atmosphere, God surrounded us with atmosphere. The atmosphere, every small asteroid who comes to hit us, the atmosphere protects us. It's pressure, hot, it explodes these meteors and it falls like dust. We don't get hurt. We have a special shield that protects us. But if the piece is very, very massive, this atmosphere cannot grind it. It's a huge piece. So it enters the atmosphere, and twice we saw what could have happened to us. But of course, God only wanted to send us a warning to show us from how many of these meteors He saves us every second. Because soon you're going to see how many are falling around us and none of them hit us. But people say, where is God? Where is the boss? Where is the supervision? If they only knew how many massive attacks we have towards us and we get saved from each one of them, they would not believe. What is it like? Let me explain. If you take a person and tell him to stand over there in the size of the room, and there is 500 soldiers here with Uzi machine gun, full of bullets, and they're all aiming towards this person, and you tell this person, you have 1 minute. You have to run back and forth and not get hurt. and we're all going to shoot massive 500 soldiers, automatic weapon at you. If you make it for 1 minute, you run back and forth and you don't get hit, we'll give you your life. If not, we'll say Kaddish for you. What's the chance? In less than a second, he'll be dead. 500 soldiers shooting bullets one after the other towards him cannot survive a second. We have much more than 500 soldiers and machine guns. Much more. They are falling like rains of meteors at us because there's trillions of stars. Unlimited amount. And they always, with pressure, there are always pieces falling. Big rocks, sizes of cities. And it's falling, and we are somehow making it without getting hit. They're falling next to us, on the right, on the left, from here, from there. So that shows you, just one second, let's just show you how exactly it works. When this meteor hit in the center of Siberia, people who stood 60 kilometers away, which is 40 miles away, 40 miles, fell on the floor instantly. 40 miles away from Siberia, from that area, everybody fell on the floor because it shook the entire earth. All over the world, the machines that measure earthquake, all of them shook, all over the world. Even the other side of the world, they all shook. Why? Because this vibration that he made in 1908 shook the entire earth. Not only that, later they found out through their investigation that this meteor was a small piece, a tiny piece that broke from Enka, one of the stars, Kochav Shavit Enka. A tiny piece broke, a crumb from a cookie fell and almost destroyed our world. You understand? So let's see. Professor Fred Weifel from Harvard University proved that the stars are a mixture of ice and special dust and other material mixed. The smallest star has 1 billion tons of ice, and the big stars have 1,000 billion ice, 1,000 billion tons of ice. Billion times 1,000 ice, much more than Earth here. Everybody understand, right? There's no doubt today that water in Earth is like a drop in the ocean compared to the water above the heaven. And this is something that the Torah spoke about 3,300 years ago when there was no technology to know it. So the question is, who was able to give such information? And then, in recent years, scientists discover an amazing phenomena. What is it? Stars that are falling on sources of water in our space. It's asteroids of ice that once they enter the atmosphere of Earth, they grind it into small pieces and they melt, and it looks like rain who falls on us, like Professor Louis Frank from Iowa University proved in 1986. Every day, 30,000 meteors hit our Earth. 30,000 per day. Every 3 seconds, one meteor hit Earth. Every 3 seconds, a piece is going towards us. And the atmosphere is doing a pretty good job. You know, in Israel, the Arabs shoot rockets. So they put a very expensive protection, missiles. The rocket, maybe 50% they blow. The rest start constantly falling. There's no way to prevent 100%. But over here, it's doing a fantastic job. And it cannot be coincidence that around our Earth, the creator of our world made a shield to protect us from these pieces. Cannot be by coincidence. A random explosion could not make such thing. Somebody made it. And this somebody, we, the Jewish nation, got lucky. He gave us a book, and he told us, I'm choosing you because I love your father, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and I chose you to be my nation, and I make an eternal covenant with you, and I will call it the Sabbath, Shabbat. If you observe the Sabbath, you belong to my nation. You don't belong to my nation. You're excluded from the VIP club. You keep, you're with me. You don't keep, you cut yourself out of me. That's the foundation. And of course, there's tefillin and kosher and every other things, but the foundation is Shabbat. Why? Because I made the world in 6 days. In the 7th day I rested. I'm giving you an opportunity to be like me, not to create fire, not to drive a car, cigarettes, or electronic. cut from this for one day. Do not create any energy. Do not do certain things that I did not do in a 7 day. And for that, I will give you eternity of pleasure when you die. And God forbid, if you don't do it, you lose everything. Don't come to me for complaints. 12 times he repeated it in his book, in the Torah. Now all we have to do is to prove that the Torah is divine. The rest is in your hand. You want to listen to him, fine. You don't want to listen to him, it's in your hand. Nobody can force you. Imen anili mili. The Gemara speaks in Masechet Brachot about the Bermuda Triangle. This is somewhere near Miami and Puerto Rico. How does the Torah know what we just discovered in recent time? The question is like this. Look, the Gemara says like this. There are 903 different kinds of death in the world. 903 ways to die. At least that's how it was 2,000 years ago. Maybe today there's more. Electric chairs, this wasn't exist 2,000 years ago. So there's 903 different kinds to die. And the worst one, it's a sickness called askara. Askara, and the easiest one is a person goes to sleep and doesn't get up. While he's sleeping, that's it. In the morning you find him dead. That's the easiest way to die. The worst one is askara. What's this askara? It's like a growth inside the throat and constantly growing, and close the pipe of the oxygen. And a person cannot breathe. And it kills him slowly from inside. There's nothing, and nobody can do anything about it. This sickness, to the best of our knowledge, we don't find it anymore. But it used to be a common thing in the old days. So, the Gemara speaks, Rashi is explaining about this sickness. And he's speaking about this. He says, out of nowhere, it's really amazing what's happening here. The explanation of Rashi about the sickness looks like there's nothing to do with the sickness itself. This is what he writes. He says there's a place in the ocean that does not accept metal, does not accept any iron, no metals. And that's why when you go there, you have to make sure you make your boat, you put the pieces together with ropes. And then you put tar in the bottom, you close it, that water don't go in, but make sure you don't put nails. If you put nails in the bottom of the boat, you get somewhere in the ocean and you will disappear there. Why? You cannot go there with metal. This was written by Rashi in France 900 years ago. Nobody knew about this Bermuda Triangle. We know about it today because there's airplanes and helicopters also disappear there. Many boats and helicopters and planes sucked somewhere into that triangle, and nobody ever know whatever happened to them. Nobody know where they disappeared. So it says like this. In the last 40 years, there are many cases of boats and airplanes that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangles. It's right between Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda Island that create a triangle. Nobody knows what's there or who is there. There are many theories. There's maybe underground earthquake, all kinds of storms, magnetic fields. Nobody really knows. Some people even started that maybe there is aliens there or something, like maybe it's an entrance to a different world. All kinds of theories were born because nobody understands. But one thing we do know, that the interesting things today in this recent time, that the greatest scientists, they prove that over there's magnetic field. And the magnetic fields, that when you go there, it's obviously pull the boat to the bottom of the water there, and from that moment on, nobody can get there. If you went to the Niagara Falls, you see on a cliff where the water are falling, right before there's a boat who got stuck on a rock. And they left the boat there for many years, many years ago, previous generations. The boat is right there. There's no way to take the boat out. It's massive amount of water right there. The boat got stuck on a rock. If you ever go to the Canadian side, you're going to see it over there. It's stuck there on the water for who knows how many years. They left it there. It's stuck there on a rock. So let's move on. If you go to college and they speak about the telescope, so what would they say? That Galileo Galilei is the first person who had a telescope. Some of them would say that Hubble, which lived 30 years before Galileo, started to develop a telescope, and Galileo finished it. So one way or the other, Galileo, we're talking 400 years ago. That's it. 400 years ago, according to the colleges today in the world. But that's really incorrect, because we read in the Talmud, in Masechet Eruvin, page 43, that this is what it says. Rabban Gamliel, the president of Israel, had a tube, that he was looking into that tube, and he was able to see people for 2,000 amma on the land and 2,000 amma on the ocean. So 4,000 amma, we're talking 2 kilometers, 1.5 mile, about 40 blocks in Manhattan. Do you know a person that takes a tube and looks like that and he sees friend 40 blocks away in Manhattan? He doesn't see 2 blocks away, cannot see, unless if it's a telescope. So he had a telescope that he was looking into it and was able to see people from almost 2 miles away. So who invented the telescope, Galileo? Or the rabbi 2,000 years ago already had primitive one? Yes, but he had a telescope. So the idea of having a telescope, it's something that way before Galileo, but nobody will teach about Rabban Gamliel in a college. Now, we know that according to Kabbalah, the mystical part of Judaism, when a person makes sins, the material around him get affected. If a person is in his house and makes sins, such as idols worshipping, and then you buy his furnitures, these furnitures have like a curse in it. You bring it into your house, it's not a good thing. Why? Because the sins that people made next to this furniture affecting the material. Now you may think material, it's raw. It doesn't have feelings, doesn't have movement. How does material get affected from me standing here and cursing or making a sin? How would it affect the table? How would it affect the rug? What's the connection? So first of all, let me tell you some news that you may be not aware of. The material that you see, it's all spiritual. Let me be more precise. There's really no material. The entire world, which is a very big ball, the entire world, if you take the energy of the atoms are moving constantly. If you take for 1 second this energy, you move the atoms that the scientists don't know where this energy comes from. For 1 second, you eliminate the energy that moves the atoms in a material, the entire world will be the size of a gum. All material would fall into a gum that you can put the entire world in your pocket. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. Now you see, you're looking at this laptop. If I ask you how big is this laptop, you say 12 inches long and 8 inches wide. So you have a measurement in your head because you're looking at it, it's right in front of you. But really the truth is that this laptop that you see, it's an illusion. It really doesn't have anything. Let me explain to you what I mean. Did you ever see, you have a fan with 4 arms and you click on one, so it goes in slow speed. So you can still see it's rolling. When you click on 2, it's going faster, so it's much harder to see there's 4 arms. When you click on 3, now it goes so fast that it looks like an entire full circle. You don't see 4 arms are moving. You see an entire full circle. This is material. Every building that you see in Manhattan, a huge building, it's tiny, smaller than a finger. But how does it give us this illusion that it's so big? The atoms are moving so fast that they create a surface that it looks real, but it's really nothing. It's all an illusion. It's very interesting. It's very deep. I don't want to confuse you. But this entire world is really all the energy of God that moves everything and gives it an image. However, when a person does bad things, it's affect the material, because material is spiritual. Spiritual affects spiritual. The word ruach means spirit, spiritual in Hebrew. Chomer, it's meruach. Meruach, it comes from spiritual. Without it, there's no material. Now the Ramchal, one of the greatest Kabbalists, he writes in his legendary book, Path to the Just. I have a whole series in my website about this book, very recommended. So he says, when a person attracted to the physical pleasure of the world, is addicted to what the world has to offer, he's following the material pleasure and forget about his creator. Doesn't have time for spirituality. He's busy with pleasure. That's all he cares about. He is getting spoiled, and the world is getting spoiled with him. It's affecting the entire world. If he controls his desires and stick to his creator and use the material only as an assistant to elevate his spiritual level and get close to his creator, he is getting better, and the entire world around him is getting better. So we see that we're not only affecting ourselves, we're affecting our environment. Now let me show you something incredible, really incredible. There's a Japanese doctor, his name is Dr. Masaru Emoto, soon you're going to see his picture in the next slide, that proved, no theory, prove with pictures, prove 100% with microscopic test that water are affected by what people speak next to them. The water are affected by what we say next to the water, which means, let me show you what I'm talking about. If you freeze the water in minus 276 degrees, which makes the water very, very cold, ice, very, very cold, and then you say certain things next to this water, and you check in a microscope the shape of the water, you're going to see that in a place that people spoke nice words, spiritual world, the water have beautiful symmetric shapes. Looks like a diamond, a beautiful art. In place that people curse and lie and do bad things, the water lost their symmetric shape and lost their image. It's very interesting. The ice that looks like a jewel in a microscope. Soon I'm going to show you some pictures. But before we get into the picture, based on the results of Dr. Emoto, an Israeli student in Bar Ilan University in Israel, his name is Tomer Rabiav, a student is a chemist from Bar Ilan. He proved that good, positive speaking affected the plants. He put people in one room with seeds. He put seeds on cotton with water, and now they're supposed to root the seeds, beans, and he put in a different room also the same thing. In one room he put people who read 3 weeks Tehillim, 3 weeks. The other room, people sit 3 weeks and curse all day. By the end of the 3 weeks, the room that the people say nice words from the Tanakh, everything grew straight, tall, healthy, with lots of success. And the other room, everything was crooked, falling, left, right, nothing grew. Mamash, no shape. Nothing whatsoever, and he proved this is the room. The spiritual room, this is the negative room. Now, let's see some of the things that I'm talking about. As you can see, this is the doctor behind me. And on the left, right above his head, this is an image of water frozen that people spoke negative things next to it. And right on the right, it looks like a beautiful diamond clip. Look how symmetric. This is by looking in a microscope in a drop of water, that you froze. And now you come with a microscope and you see the image inside the water. This is what you're going to see. The two pictures, as you can see, right here on the right of your right side, the top and the bottom look like a real work of art. Beautiful. Look how symmetric. And the one right above his head is the room where people spoke negative things. This is how the water came. So you see it's affecting material. Now, this is more images. The two top images are positive room, and the two bottom one are negative room. This is what came. The positive, negative. It's affecting the entire world. Then, one more thing. Did you ever think that when you enter your living room, that every word that you speak in your living room, one of the plants over there is listening? Did you ever think that the trees in your backyard and in the front yard are listening to what you say? Did you ever think that they have feelings? Did you ever think that they hate people and they love people, depend who the people are? Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. 2,000 years ago in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 30, Chazal say, when you chop a tree, his scream goes from one side of the world to the other. The tree is screaming from pain. So why don't we hear it? Because if we hear it, we wouldn't have a place to live. If you come to the tree and you chop the tree with the axe, and you hear screaming like you chop someone's leg. Would anyone chop a tree? No. So no trees, no houses, nothing to build, no furniture. But God wanted the trees to serve us in our life. That's why He made our ears work in different frequency than the frequency of the animals, and different frequency from the trees. So the trees communicate with each other and have a conversation in a forest. We don't hear it. The animals hear things that we don't hear. If you have a dog, sometimes you sit in a silent room and nobody is in the house, and you read something, and all of a sudden the dog or the cat is getting paranoid, running to the corner, making all kinds of crying. He's running around, he looks up and he's very, very, very scared. And you look and you don't understand what's happening. You see something horrible, because the eyes of the lens of the animals works in different frequency, just like the camera. The camera can detect in space things that you didn't see when you took the pictures. Our eyes didn't see, the camera did see. The video camera can see. I have in my Life After Life film, I show spiritual pictures of souls, people who died, their spirits, cameras that detected spirits in houses that people took pictures. They collected them before Photoshop was available. It's before it was checked by laboratory. It's all legit. So the camera can see what we cannot see. And also, if you ever have a device that makes mosquitoes go away from the house, you plug it into the electric, and from that moment on, no mosquitoes come anywhere near your home. Did you ever ask yourself, what's the magic here? I plug it in, and no mosquitoes in the area. So they have a button over there, it's called demo. If you hit the button, you hear an amazing whistle. It rips your ears apart. You cannot hold your hand down more than a second. It's so loud and sharp that you cannot tolerate the pain. And right away, you shut it off. This is what the insects and the mosquitoes hear every time they come to the house. So why do you in a house, you don't hear anything? You only hear when you click the demo. When you hit the demo, it changed to the frequency of a human being's listening. So now you know what they hear. But without it, you don't hear it. It's all around, but we cannot hear it. They hear it, we don't hear it. They see things, we don't see things. The trees communicate with each other. They know it, we do not know it. One time I said in one of my lectures, and a scientist came to me by the end of the lecture, and he said, this is amazing, because it's 100% correct. If you ever go to the forest, he told me, you see that the trees never collide with another. They all expand, branches are expanding all over, and over the years they take another feet and another feet and another feet, and you'll never find two branches are touching each other. If one goes right, the other one will go left. They agree with each other. Before we make an accident, which side do you want to go? Left or right? You go left, I go right. Right? So you never find live trees collides with each other. Why? They have communication. But if you plant a tree next to your siding of the house, and the siding is wood, the tree will make a damage to the siding. Why? Because this is dead wood. It's not connected to his root. That person cannot communicate. So this is a dead wood, so I can make a damage to the siding. Let me show you something very interesting. The Gemara says, when a person grinds the spices, he said, "Etev atek, etev adek, she'akol yafeh lapsamim." When you make perfumes, noise is good to make the perfume in higher quality. If there is a silent room, the perfume doesn't come as good. If there's noise, the perfume will be better. By the wine is exactly the opposite. If you make noise around the wine, it ruins the quality of the wine. Wine needs silence. It's very interesting. Who cares now? Noise. What does it have to do with liquids? The answer is, this is all divine information. And the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan knew the language of the trees. He knew what the trees say to each other, how they communicate. This is mystical Kabbalah things. Nobody in the world supposedly knows it anymore. King Solomon knew it. Some of the Chachamim knew it. Rabbi Yochanan knew it. Now, recently, they found out that every time you cut celery or carrots or anything like that, they scream from pain. And they connected a device, an electronic device, And every time they cut another slice from the carrot, the flashlight went on and display light on the wall. Every time they chopped a piece from the scream, it creates a little energy that made the little tiny flashlight goes on. So we see something, an amazing thing is happening here. They all have life, but we are not aware of it. Not only that, the Gemara says there was one tree, palm tree, with the dates. Palm tree, right? The dates is on the palm tree. So there is the dates, and it doesn't give fruit. So they asked the rabbi what to do. The rabbi said, go down to the valley, take from another tree over there some of the roots and mix between them, and it's going to give fruit. Why? They fell in love. They're in love. The trees are in love with each other. And if you mix them, you let them be together, it's like a therapy. She's going to start giving fruits. And the Gemara is saying that's what happened. One lawyer, I'm saying it briefly, I don't want to start reading the whole thing. They published it in Nature magazine, the British scientific respectable magazine called Nature. The research of Chandra Bosa, a world-known scientist that checked the physical reaction of plants in a laboratory. Conclusion, they all have feelings. And this is what the Torah says. When you chop the tree, screams. They have communication. They talk. There's language. How did the Torah know? How did the Torah know 3,300 years ago that trees talk to each other? How did the Torah know that when you cut a tree, it screams? Today, we have electronic device that can measure it. But how did the Torah know it? No person was able to know such information. And this is just to show you that the Torah has knowledge that a person could never know. We'll show one or more, two more things, and we'll move on to some questions. I skip some. And you know, everyone knows Benjamin Franklin. You ask every American who was Benjamin Franklin, the answer is? Usually people say the President of the United States. Yeah, they see his picture on $100 bill, the old one, so they assume he was the president. So he wasn't the president, he was a respectable politician. He was a big politician, but wasn't the president, but he was a scientist. And he's the one who discovered protection from lightning. He found a way to protect people from lightning attack. How did he find it? As you can see right here on the screen on the top of the building, when you go to a top place in a city and you put a piece of metal over there, when the lightning is going to the direction of the city, it will always hit in the highest place. The first metal that he would see, it's magnetic. It would aim to that metal and the people under there will get saved. This is a very important discovery. But the question is, this was in 1776, 230 years ago. The question is is he the one who discovered it, or our sages Chazal already spoke about this in the Talmud? That's the question. In university they won't teach you that, but I will. Let's see. It says like this. The Gemara say, "Anoten barza ben ha'efrochim." Someone who put a piece of metal between his cheeks, the chickens. This is a violation of one of the restrictions of the Torah of imitating the magic, the black magic of the Goyim. Which Goyim? They call the Amorite. They used to have all kinds of black magic, and the Jews sometimes imitate some of the things they did for medicine, for all kinds of things. It's against the Torah. The Torah said do not do what they do with their idols and black magic and all kinds of things. However, the Gemara say, if you put a medal there to protect them from the lightning, it's allowed. Clear Gemara, the Shona Tosefta, right in front of you. If you do it, why you do it otherwise? The Amorites used to take medals and do all kinds of things. They say all kinds of words of impurity, and they put it among them, and many of them, the male and female, they have a lot of relation between them, and they create more babies, and like this, it's good for the business. The more sheep you have, the more chicks you have, the more money you make. But a Jew cannot use all these things because it's against the Torah. He can pray to Hashem and Hashem will help him. So if he does it to protect them from the lightning, it's no problem. In that case, it's no problem. The Gemara say the star called Halley's Comet. This is a star that is named after Edmund Halley. That was the first one who calculated and discovered the star that comes every 70 years to our area. Once every 70 years, we see an extra star. What's the name of this star? Halley's Comet. Why it's called like this? After Halley, Edmund Halley. He's the one who discovered it, so they gave the star the name of this scientist. And in 1758, that's where he discovered it. And 7 years before that he was there, 1758 he came again. So Halley calculated it exactly, and from then on, every 7 years we see these stars. The question is, did Halley deserve the prize that he got? Let's see what the Gemara had to say. The Gemara say to us, Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua ava'azli besfinata. They went together on a boat. And Rabbi Gamliel brought pita, bread, from regular flour, Persian bread. Be'adei Rabbi Yoshua have a pita vesulta. Rabbi Yoshua brought pita, bread, and also solet. How do you say solet in English? Solet looks like flour, but it stays much, much longer. It doesn't get stale. So, I think it's bulgur, if I'm not sure. Samolina, thank you, very good. That's the right word. So he bought bread that made from samolina. So, what happened is, after a few days, they saw that the boat is stuck in the middle of the ocean. The captain is getting confused, because they used to go by the stars. And now the boat is going in circles. And all the bread of all the people finished. And the only two who had what to eat is these two rabbis, because he brought a lot of bread that made from samolina. So Rabbi Gamliel asked him, how did you know to bring this bread for a long-term trip? So he said to him, once every 70 years there's a star who rises and confuse the captains of the boats. This is Gemara Orayot, page 10. Before Edmund Halley. So maybe you write an email to the people of the academy that it should be not Halley's Comets, it should be Rabbi Yoshua Stars. Right? Because he knew about it way before, but nobody teaches these things in college. Just like this, there are thousands of things that I have here in my laptop that I can show you, that's why I called my website Divine Information, because it's full of divine information. None of the information there is human information. Human information, everyone can say whatever they want. This is all based on divine information. Every lecture, every one of the scientific lectures I have in my website have many, many proofs that the written Torah and the oral Torah can never be written by any person, by any human being. It's 100% divine. Now, the last thing for tonight, and then if you have questions, feel free to ask. It's the Gemara in Masechet Nida, page 31. The Gemara says, 3 partners in a creation of mankind, of a baby. His father, his mother, and God. 3 partners. The father DNA creates the bones, the material who comes from the father, creates bones, create ligaments, create nails, create the brain in the head, and create the white in the eyes. The mother material, what we call today DNA, is creating the skin, the flesh, the hair, the pupils of the eyes, and God gives the spirit, the soul, the image of the face, the ability to see, the ability to hear, the ability to talk, the ability to walk, the intelligence, the wisdom. And when the time for a person came to die, comes God and take his share and leave what his father and mother contributed to him, which is worthless at that point. and a person fall and die, and that's it. This is the Gemara in Masechet Nida, describing to us what parts of our body came from the mother's DNA, what came from the father, and what came from God. So if you realize, all the spiritual things came from God, and all the physical things came from the mother and father. And also, it's very interesting because we have a question now. From what day of the pregnancy the baby is considered a human being? As soon as the woman conceives, a week later, a month later, 9 months later, when this baby is a baby, why it's important to know? Why it's important to know? Because we want to know when abortion officially become murder according to all opinion. If it wasn't a human being yet, it's still a very big sin to prevent life. Life that is developing, cut it in the middle, is just like murder. But a person that is a complete human being, killing him because of convenience reason, because she went with her boyfriend and made a scene, now she's going to turn herself into a murderer monster and chop the baby to pieces just because she doesn't want to raise a baby or give him to adoption, or she's embarrassed from what the family would say. So people don't think what can happen. They make big mistakes, and then to correct their mistake, they make bigger mistakes. It's a very common problem in today's world. First, the person steals a little bit, then he has to lie, and then to go, and one lie leads to another until he loses control of his life. So let's see what the Gemara has to say. First, Professor David Liger wrote a book, Playing with Life. It was in 1983, almost 30 years ago. In page 43, this is what he wrote. We do not know enough about the development of the brain of the baby. Technically, we can choose any day from the 40th day, any day on, that we would see from that moment on the shape and the performance of the brain is already starting to function, and there's some brain waves. This is what he writes. So up to 40 days, the brain is not functioning yet. There's no brain waves. It doesn't work, the system yet. It's off. But from the 48 days on, every time you measure, you find brain waves in a baby's brain. Okay. What does the Gemara say? The Gemara says like this. Amapelet ל-40 yom. A woman had a miscarriage within 40 days from the time she conceived. Ena chosheshet levlad. The placenta came out. She found herself after 2-3 weeks of the pregnancy, miscarriage, and it's all blood all over the chair. What is this? The placenta started to drip out. Now, are there any pieces of a baby inside? It's important to know. If there are little tiny fingers, or little tiny legs, or a little piece of a head, even a tiny, very small, like a crumb of a cookie, that's impurity. It's like a dead body. So we want to know if this is affecting her or not. So up to 40 days, she's now worried that there was a baby there, the Gemara says. From the 40th days, she has to sit in her impurity for a male and a female. We just read in the parasha, Tazria, Isha ki Tazria v'yalda zachar, 33 days impurity, 7 days nida, impurity of nida, and another 33 days for the impurity that she cannot touch anything holy in the Bet HaMikdash. And if it's a female, it's double time. So 14 days for nida and 66 days for impurity. Here we're talking now, if she had a miscarriage, the Torah say she has to count X amount of days to know that she's impure. She cannot touch any of the things that is brought to Bet HaMikdash and it's holy, because she will make it impure. We are not talking dirt here. We're talking spiritual impurity. So how would she know if she's pure or not? If she had a miscarriage up to 40 days, she stay pure. If 40 days and on, she impure. And she has to wait all these days of impurity without doing what I just mentioned. So the Gemara told us when life begins. The life officially begins in the 40th day of the pregnancy. Why we need to know? Besides abortions, one more reason. A person wants boys, or a person wants girls. Up to 40 days you can pray and it will change the sex of the baby. Why? Because it wasn't formed yet. So it's still open for changes. Once it's after 40 days of the pregnancy, God already decided what it's going to be, boy or girl. If you decided to pray after 3 months of the pregnancy, God, give me a boy, give me it's a girl already. What are you praying? Now, well, God is going to reverse the pregnancy 2 months now to the first month. That's it. It's reality. Same thing, a person lost his arm and now he begins to pray, God, make another arm grow. That's not going to happen. If you pray before, it wouldn't get chopped. Now it got chopped, that's it, it's reality. Certain things is already reality. But it's like a person went to his house, to his neighborhood, and he heard a gunshot. So he begins to pray in his car, Hashem, please help me that it's not in my house. Please, there's a terrorist attack. I hope it's not in my house. I hope he's praying it's not. What are you praying for? If it's in your house, it happens already. But people don't think, no, please help me. I promise you I'll be Shomer Shabbat. I promise you. Make it not be in my house. From tomorrow I'll be religious. Then as soon as he comes and he sees it's not in his house, no, it's okay, I manage. You know the joke. You know, one person was in a rush to a business meeting. He's looking for parking like crazy. 2 minutes before, and there's people there, they go crazy if you're late. God, if you find me parking, I promise you every day I put filling on. Then someone came out, he said, that's okay, I manage by myself. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. So here is some pictures of the pregnancy. As you can see, the beginning is the size of a quarter. Size of a quarter. And then it grows and grows until it comes out. So this is it. Time is running out. Maybe I'll steal another 2 minutes of your time because it's very tempting, this one. Some of us have twins. Did you ever wonder how twins come to the world? Two identical twins. How did they come? How all of a sudden? Every other person has regular kids, one. All of a sudden, twins, triplets. What's happening here? The answer is, in many generations, many people thought that from one conceiving, only one baby can be created. Later, when they started to see there are twins in the world, they started to think, probably it's two conceivings. The husband was with his wife tonight, so she became pregnant with one egg, was fertilized by seed. And another 2-3 days later, one more time they were together, so another seed went into another eggs, and 2 babies are developing in the same wounds. That's what people started to think. Then when they invented the microscope, they started to see things that we couldn't see with the regular eye. They found out that the baby is created only from one seed. But they still did not know how to explain twins. Until recently, a few years ago, they finally have equipment, very high technology, that is searching, is scanning, and they came out with results that twins that are not identical, they are from 2 different eggs. But identical twins are from one egg who cuts to 2, splits to 2, which means one seed went into that, and then the egg split into 2, and it's 2 copies, like you went to 7-Eleven, put your passport, copy, now you have 2. This is how it is. It's okay, but if it's 2 not identical twins, so they came with 2 different eggs. Now let me ask you a question. What really make the baby develop? The egg or the wound? What's more important? The wound is an incubator. Today, some babies they're born in a 6 month, they put them in incubator, so they manage without the wound. The egg or the wound, it's a very big question. What's responsible for developing the baby? Why am I telling you this? Because today there is a very complicated question in a Jewish law. Women that are barren, they got to their 40s and never gave birth, and then they met someone and got married, and now it's very difficult for them to give birth in a later age. So sometimes some of them, when they saw they're already reaching 36, 37, they saw it's very difficult in this generation to find your soulmate, and they decided to freeze some of these eggs, which later can be planted artificially in their wounds with the seed of their future husband, that they'll be able to get pregnant. So this is a technology that many people do today. Some women are single for different reasons. They choose to stay single, but they want kids. So they take their eggs, take an egg out of their body, and they go to a bank of seed, and they buy seed from someone anonymous, and the doctors put it together, and they plant it in their womb, and then she has a baby. She's a mother of a baby from an unknown father. So this is how it goes today. The question now is, if a Jewish woman doesn't have any more eggs and she did not freeze when she was young, and her husband wants to have kids with her, so one thing they do, they can take an egg from a different woman and put it by her. So if they took an egg from a non-Jewish woman, and the seed of her husband, which is a Jewish man, went into that egg, and now a baby is developed in a Jewish wound, the baby is Jewish or a goy? What do you think? And that's a big question. If life comes from the egg, the baby is a goy, because it goes by the mother, and the mother that gave the egg is a goya. So the baby doesn't have a Jewish soul. It has a non-Jewish soul, come from a different spiritual world. And if not only is a goy, he has no relation to his father. When they die one day, they go to different places. There's a huge impact on this question. And if it goes by the wound, so the egg integrate into the wound of the mother, and the wound is the main thing, so the baby is Jewish. So what's the answer? There's a big argument between the rabbis in the world about it. Some say he's a Jew, some say he's a goy, some say he's half enough. What does it mean, half enough? A doubt, 50-50. Many people in the world today are in this status. Maybe they're Jewish, maybe they're goyim. Why? The mother had a shady conversion. Nobody knows for sure if she really started to keep the laws when she converted or not. So it's all it takes that once she converted, she didn't keep the fair Shabbat, she stayed goya. God knows she's lying. She did it for different reasons, not for keeping mitzvot. So all of a sudden, one day she decided to be religious. So she started to keep the laws. But in the beginning, in a time of conversion, she never really accepted the Jewish laws. So now it's a question about this woman, if she's Jewish, not Jewish, nobody knows. Some say she kept, she didn't keep, she died in the meantime, there's no way to find. So every one of her kids and grandkids are 50%. You don't know what to do with them. You have to convert them from the doubt. Sometimes it's Jews who came from parts of the world that there was high percentage of intermarriage, such as Russia, India, Ethiopia, places like this. You don't know if these people are Jewish or not. Every one of them have some kind of a doubt if he's a Jew. So the Rabbanut in Israel, they convert them from the doubt, unless if they can supply with valid proofs of the mother and the grandmother that was really Jewish, and they can bring proofs, yes. But if they can't bring proofs, you know what, you'll be surprised. Many of them answer, I really don't know myself. I don't know. We live like goyim anyway, so how do I know if we're Jewish or not? They really don't know. That's how sad the situation is with the intermarriage today. So let's see what the Gemara say about twins. The Gemara say, "Ma'aseh v'nishtav lad echad achar chavero shlosha chodashim." A woman gave birth in the 9th month. I shouldn't say in the 9th month. She gave birth. And 3 months later, she gave birth to another baby, twin. She gave birth now. All of a sudden, 3 months later, she said, Moshe, get up. Take me to the hospital, I have to give birth. Are you crazy? You just gave birth. She said, I'm telling you, I have contractions, take me. So she gave birth to another kid. And here they are, the Gemara say. Who are they? Yehuda and Chizkiah, the sons of Rabbi Chia. The Gemara say, how can it be? We know that a woman does not get pregnant twice. She got pregnant, that's it. She cannot conceive again. So Abaye say, one of the Chachamim say, amazing, the knowledge they had is incredible. It's a very primitive time, 2,000 years ago. It says, there was one drop of seed that was split to two. One was formed, is shaped in the beginning of the 7th month of the pregnancy. That's why the baby came in the beginning of the 7th month. And one finished in the end of the 9th month. So one was born in the 7th month, and one was born supposedly in the beginning of the 10th month, few days into the 10th. And that's why they didn't come right away. There's one drop that split into two, and obviously went to two eggs. One was developed and gave birth, and the other one, so how did they know? How did they know that it's dropped, the seed, it split, goes, eggs, and now there was no way to know. This is all things that we just discovered in the last 20 years. Nobody had a way to know how a baby is created. Just because there's a man was with a woman, and now she looks pregnant, but the entire internal system, how does it work? Without the microscope, there was no way to know. So the answer is 100% divine information. And this is, like I say, one out of thousands of things that Judaism has. And I say it, no other religion has nothing whatsoever. No Christianity, no Islam, not one prophecy there, not one scientific knowledge that proves that God gave this book. The opposite is full of human errors. The difference between Judaism to every other religion is like putting the most expensive diamond and the biggest piece of glass that worth a penny, one next to each other, and claim they both diamonds. And it's all come from ignorance, that Jews are wasting their time going to follow different cults and religions, not knowing what they lose, what they're missing. So I would like to finish. First of all, thank you very much for organizing this beautiful evening here. And I hope even when I go back to New York, you come here every Tuesday and bring more friends, or become a place of Torah and lectures. That's the most important thing. A person must be connected to God every day, not only every Tuesday. But let's start with every Tuesday. Rabbi? They start with Tuesday, maybe it'll be twice a week, 3, 4, 5, until they learn non-stop Torah, Be'ezrat Hashem. The more Torah you learn, the more lectures you listen, the more inspired you'll be. I'll show you right here, if you don't believe, thousands of emails, not hundreds, thousands of emails of people who did not know one word from Judaism, started to listen to lecture within 30 days. From the minute they started to listen to one lecture a day. I have the iPhone app and Android free in my website. You can download everything to your iPhone. You can driving in a car, instead of listening to the foolish news that repeats itself every 10 minutes for 500 times a day, you better listen to the words of God, and it will inspire you, and all of a sudden you feel that you have so much more energy and desire to be righteous. First, you would understand what does it mean to be righteous. What does it mean to be wicked? What do you do right? What do you do wrong? And if you have now the tools to judge, now you know what needs to be corrected, but you don't have the strength because you live 30 years in a different way, or 40 or 50, whatever. So it's much harder to one day change completely, especially when you're getting old. But don't lose hope. It's much easier than what you think. You listen to one lecture a day, 1 hour a day. I promise you, within 30 days, wonders in your life. It will affect every aspect of your life, the marriage, raising children, finding your soulmate, your relationship with God, the personal feeling, blessing in everything you do. Everything is going to be changed. And if you don't believe, speak to Baalei Tshuva, who are a few years into this, and they'll tell you the difference between before and after. And they are in a very high feeling, without drugs. Why everyone's searching for drugs? Everyone wants to feel high. Torah would make you feel high in a kosher way, and you're going to get a huge reward for it. The drugs will make you high for a few minutes and then very depressed after, will take away all your money, and in the end you get a major punishment for using it, because it's against the Torah. So it's an illusion. It feels high. It ends very low. The Torah feels high and ends higher. That's the difference, because it's from Hashem, it's a divine source. Any questions before we finish? Yes, please. Yeah, you want to see the picture? Here, this picture? Yeah, 1 second. The one before? Here.
The one in the upper right-hand corner in the middle looks like something.
It looks like a beautiful jewel that a husband brings his wife for the anniversary. That's why it's amazing. That a drop of water in a little tube, and they freeze it in very, very cold temperature, and then they come with a microscope and see it, and I see an amazing, you know what, I tell you something. One time someone sent me an email of leaves, satellite who takes pictures of a tree. And then they do 10,000 times bigger, 100,000 times bigger, 1,000,000 times bigger, until it gets to a point that the satellite can look at the leaf, one leaf, and show you a beautiful Persian rug. Mamash Persian rug with colors. No, I'm not joking. Looks like the top Persian rugs. You know, those rugs are $200,000 a piece? That's how every leaf is. A major work of art. We do not see it because it's so tiny. But with a huge magnifying glass, such as a satellite that takes pictures and you expand the pictures and enlarge it as much as you can, all of a sudden you see that not only it has a beautiful pattern, it has colors in it, which you cannot see because they're too small. So when you develop it, it's yellow, it's orange, it's red, it's white, it's... Star David? Maybe this water was taken from a Jew, was praying, or maybe, I tell you what, maybe it's from this drop of water after the lecture. So, you know, like I said, this is the point he was making. This Japanese doctor, this is how he discovered it. He put this water in a place where people were cursing all day in Japanese, and he put it in another room that people were saying nice things, I love you, how are you? They don't know Tehillim, the Japanese. Even though I saw an article a few days ago that most Japanese claim that the origin comes from Jews. Many of them claim that they used to have customs in the old days as 100% like the Jews have. It's very interesting. I tell you something. I have a son. My youngest son looks a little bit Japanese in his eyes. So one time, we went to a seminar in New Jersey, and all of a sudden I look at the lobby of the hotel. I see about 30 Japanese tourists looking at my son like this around, because I never saw one with a yarmulke and perot, tzitzit. So they thought he's Japanese. They didn't see his parents. He's in the lobby. So they look at him, they speak in Japanese. You know how you go to the zoo and you see something amazing in a cage, so they start to take pictures because they never saw a Japanese. So when they saw the parents are not Japanese, they realize he's not. But that was an attraction for them. Many Japanese claim they're Jewish, but I tell you something else. 1 out of 10 people of Spain and Portugal have Jewish DNA. They are the victims of the Christian Inquisition 500 years ago, but they do not know they're Jewish. Not all of them Jewish. Not every person who has Jewish DNA in him means he's Jewish, because his father could be Jewish, his mother Goya, still have Jewish DNA. The DNA indicates about from what bodies he came. So one of his parents is Jewish. It doesn't mean he has a Jewish soul. But there's a high chance that many of them are originally Jewish and they're not. No. I meet many goyim. As soon as they hear 5 minutes Divrei Torah, you're not going to believe the reaction. They begin to cry. Right away they speak about converting. You do everything you can to convince them not to convert. They don't give up. No, they're willing to give their money, their house, leave it to their wife, whatever. Just come to New York, convert, come to yeshiva. Imagine if every Jew was like that. You speak to him, you give 2 or 3 proofs. Everyone says, Rabbi, enough. You don't need to talk. Where is the address of the yeshiva? Tomorrow will be there. Life will be very easy. But you have to go and repeat, and it takes months and years, unfortunately, because the resistance is very strong. There's a strong evil inclination in every person that convinces him to stay what he is. Don't worry, there's time to be religious. You're too young for it. There's no rush. God loves everyone. Promise you, he loves you. Don't worry. You continue to steal, he would love you. You continue to rape, he would love you. You continue to do Mechalel Shabbat. Don't worry. Why do you listen to these rabbis? Don't listen to the rabbi. Read in the Torah what God says. Take the art scroll Chumash in English. Read what God said about Mechalel Shabbat. Read what he said about the thief. Read what he said about the liar. Read what he said about a woman who dressed not modest on the street. Read in the Torah. And then you'll see that everything the rabbis tell you is come from the Torah. Nobody comes and make up laws here. Whatever we say comes always from the book of God. You have a doubt if the book is from God or not, watch this film, Torah and Science. There's many MP3 CDs there with more than 20 hours of lectures. You put them in your car when you drive, at least every second of your driving will become a very big mitzvah, instead of listening to things that will not get you any benefits. Yes?
What does Judaism say? Because I don't know if you mentioned, what does Judaism say about abortion?
Abortion is 100% murder. As a matter of fact, Judaism says that a man who wastes his seed is already a murder. It's like shofech damim. Before the seed even entered the egg, because this is a process, this is the beginning of life. Yes, it's true that there's few more steps necessary, but it's already not allowed to a Jewish man to do it.
40 days is only for like a miscarriage.
40 days, it's already a massive murder with the hands. There's different levels of murders. I'll give you an example. There are two kinds of ways to kill a person. If I kill a person in way A, I get execution by the Jewish court. If I kill the same person a little bit different, they cannot execute me. Let me give you an example. If I take a knife and stab him, or I take a stick and hit his head and kill him, that's a direct execution. But if I tie him to a tree and put the lion in a room and lock the door, I didn't kill him. I just tie him to a tree and I put the lion. I killed him indirectly. And I found guilty. Witnesses say that that's what I did. Or I tie him to a tree and put the fire here, knowing in 1 hour it's going to get to him. So they cannot execute me. I'm still guilty, everything fine. But to execute me, they can't. Why? I kill the person and I kill. So we see, even the way people make the sins, there are level of sins. Same thing, murder. Of course, once it's 40 days already, he has pulse. He tastes if you inject sugar to the wounds, he drinks double. If you pinch his nose in the 3rd month of the pregnancy, he moves his head, which means his nerve system is complete. They made an experiment. They pinched the nose of a baby 4 times. Every time he moved his head to the left side. By the 5th time, before the needle hit his nose, he already moved his head. Before. So not only his nerve system is working, not only has pulse, not only is tasting, not only has heartbeats and all this, he's also intelligent and understands that the danger is arriving. He learns one thing from another. A minute ago, someone pinched him, he realized the pain. Once he was pinched again, he still didn't realize. After 4 times, he started to realize this is something was happening. So he moved his head, which means he's thinking the danger is coming. So to kill such a creature is nothing more cruel than this. So it's 100% murder, and for that it could be execution. We have to check the law. But wasting seed is a lower level of making a big sin, you understand? Or before the 40th day, it could be that it's a lower punishment, etc. Yes? Yes? Yes, depend. It's a good question. There are many conversions today in the world that are fake conversions. What is a fake conversion? A Gentile who fall in love with a Jew. A male Gentile fall in love with a Jewish woman, or the opposite. And the only way that they can get married to them is to satisfy their parents, is to convert. At no time they had any intention to accept the Jewish law and to start becoming religious. Not her and not the Jewish guy. He himself drives on Shabbat. He wants her to convert for his parents to leave him alone. But he doesn't keep any laws. He's a goy just like her. He thinks that he's Jewish and she's a goya. But he doesn't understand that according to the Shulchan Aruch, someone who doesn't keep Shabbat is excluded from Judaism just like the goy. It's no difference. Chalel Shabbat areu kegoy lechol davar, the Shulchan Aruch says. So he thinks, I'll convert her, so I'll feel better between me and God, and my parents would leave me alone. Reality-wise, she stay 100% goya and he's wasting his time and money. So unless, if while she came to convert for fake, she went to the study and something happened to her and she saw that it's the truth, then she really wanted to be religious, even though the way wasn't kosher, because she came because of a man, but through the processing of learning, she accepted 100% the laws and she went into the mikveh. From that moment, she kept all the laws she knew, then she's Jewish. Once she goes into the water, she goes in Christine, she comes out Sarah. That's it. You understand? But if it's for fake, she goes in Christine, she comes out Christina. Same, no problem. Yeah. Yes.
What if, God forbid, you pass 40 days and then something becomes big? Is the abortion still considered murder, or?
Yes. I want to ask you a question. If a person had a Down syndrome kid, lo alenu, there's permission to kill him because it's gonna be life is gonna be miserable from now on?
No, but what if the kid, God forbid, there are like some rare conditions, people die, and I don't know.
Okay, so do you understand? You see, in the manufacturing of a table or computer, there's defects. So they throw that to the garbage. No, wait. So they have a major defect, let's say, or even a slight defect. Either they give it for half a price, or they throw it to the garbage. One of the two. By human birth, there's no defects. It's all planned. If God wanted a person to be born blind, it's a part of the plan and the test that this person going to have in his life. If he's an autistic kid, there's a reason for it. It's a person who doesn't come to this world like me and you to be tested if he's going to be righteous or wicked. It's a person who comes to this world for a punishment. Instead of going to hell, God sent him here to suffer 30 years, 40 years, to be deaf and mute, autistic or Down syndrome, to die and to go to heaven. By killing him is interfering with God's plan, and we are subject to a major punishment. If a person doesn't want to raise him, he can give him to adoptions or to institutions, which is also not recommended, because if God sent it to these parents, there's a reason why he sent it to them. You understand? Nothing is coincidence. Everything is 100% planned. That's why we don't have permission to kill the babies. We're not the Nazis. They didn't like blacks, so they wanted to kill them. They didn't like Jews, so they wanted to kill them. They didn't like handicapped, so they planned to kill them. It doesn't work that way. There's a boss to the world, and if he decided to send someone defected in his body, there's reasons for it. And as a matter of fact, the Torah speaks about birth defects many times. Who can be a Kohen in Bet HaMikdash? Who cannot be a Kohen? Even being a lefty, it's a disadvantage. It's not a defect, but if you're a Kohen and you're a lefty, you cannot serve in Bet HaMikdash. Imagine someone Kohen, not such a righteous person. Today, if the Bet HaMikdash would be built, he can go into Bet HaMikdash and be serving inside Bet HaMikdash in Jerusalem. The Chafetz Chaim, which was also a Kohen, a holy, righteous man, one of the holiest ever lived, couldn't be a Kohen in Bet HaMikdash because he's a lefty. Or if a Kohen doesn't have a leg or a hand or something like that, his head is chopped or something like that, then he cannot serve in the house of God. The animals that are sacrificed, if they have birth defect, they cannot be sacrificed. But you see that the defect is according to God's plan. Nothing is coincidence. The reason why this sheep is defected and this one is not. It's reincarnation of people. It's all kinds of things. We're not allowed to interfere with the creation. Yes? Oh, the Torah answer your question. The Torah, well, first of all, one of my lectures right here, one of my lectures in my CD is speaking about the free choice. You must listen to it. Trust me. You'll never forget this lecture. It's a very strong lecture, free choice. But how does it work? Everything in our life is pre-decided for us. Nothing is in our hand except one thing. Nobody asks you if you be a male or a female. Nobody asks you if you be pretty or not. Nobody asks you if you be tall or short or smart or not so smart. Nobody asks you if you're going to have wealthy life or poor life. Everything in your life is pre-decided for you, except one thing. If you be righteous or wicked, is 100% in your hand. You decide what to wear when you leave the house. To dress provocative or to dress modest. It's 100% your choice. Your choices are affected by pressure from society, or by going to the wrong school, or by being a daughter of parents that are not pro-religious. There's different things that affect our life. You can have bad friends, you can have bad teachers, you can have bad city where you live, the nature of your job, but everything is 100% in your hand. You can change job. You can move away from a bad influence. It's 100% in our hand to be righteous like Moshe or wicked like Yerovam, the Rambam writes. and the Gemara says. So no excuses will be accepted. If you are a murderer, you are guilty. You cannot say, oh, I'm a robot. God moved me with his remote control. No, you are guilty. And if you do something right, that's why the Torah say, I will reward you in your end. I will reward you and your children for eternity. There's a verse in the Torah. Reward me for what? I put tefillin, you made me move. I didn't choose. You reward me for keeping Shabbat? I don't deserve it. You moved me. You want to punish me for murdering? It's not my problem. You made me murder. So what's the point of getting a Torah? Why God bother giving us a Torah with instruction and warnings? Be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful if I'm a robot. He's playing games with me? Of course we're not. That's why the Torah is reward and punishment, because we are choose. The Torah say clearly, Uvacharta batov. You should choose the good. Uvacharta b'chaim. You should choose in life. The life. You should not choose the death. So the Torah used the word choose. Uvacharta, livchor, bechira. Only human being has choices. Animals live by instinct. They don't choose. They live in a certain pattern all the time. Fire, they run away. Animals, they attack. All kinds of things, they will always behave the same. More questions? Yes.
Okay. I understand why when they're reading the Torah, it could predict things that science later proves, when those are words that came from God. But I don't understand for the oral Torah, for what the sages say, how they knew to predict things. Like Rashi, how did he know about that?
Rashi is a commentator on the Torah. He explained the meaning of the verses and the words and the grammar of the Torah. The sages, they had knowledge who was transferred from generation to generation, but it all started in Mount Sinai, which means if God gave me knowledge, right, X amount of knowledge, and I taught you, and you taught your friend, and he taught his son, and he taught his friend, so the friend, the fifth one already from there, really got it from me. But I got it from God. So in the end, we all got it from the same source. None of them invented that. None of them saw it in a dream. It's not. We're not talking prophecies here. Prophecy is something different. God takes a person and say, you are my prophet. I have a message to transfer to the generation. Go and say what I told you. That's a prophecy. That's something else. We are not talking about divine knowledge. It's all came from Mount Sinai, the day we received the written and the oral Torah and the Ten Commandments and all the Midrashim and all the Kabbalah. Everything came that day that Moshe came down from the mountain and brought us the entire Torah. And it was transferred from hand to hand. And it was learned and taught in yeshivot. And until today, we're still passing it from children, from father to children. Same thing they did it then, we're still doing it. But Chazal, the sages are saying that none of the things they wrote came from their own research. It's all that we received from Mount Sinai. That's why they're not taking any credit. They're not playing now Albert Einstein who invented something. No. Whatever I told you, don't give me credit. I got it from my rabbi. He got it from his rabbi. Who got it from Moshe Rabbeinu? Who got it from God? That's all. More questions, yeah.
Rabbi, there's a Mishnah that says a boy and gender is not determined by the 40th day, a female by the 80th day, and that a female is determined after a male, and it perfectly matches what's in the embryology textbook. There's a Mishnah in Berachot 54a that says once your wife is pregnant, it's an abomination to pray whether to have a boy or a girl. 6 pages later, an Amorali, a rabbi from the Gemara, Rabbi Yosef, comes and says, oh, because we know a boy and a male is not determined by the 40th or the 80th day, we can pray to have a boy or a girl.
So?
If you don't know cell biology and you don't understand differentiation, at the moment of conception, it's either XX or XY. You cannot pray for this chair to become bigger or smaller.
So you're backing up what I said.
I am trashing Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef is like a person who comes and says, this is the truth, here is the Egel Hazahah, you believe in this.
Yes.
And that's what some of the Amoraim have done. You know, I've been really patient here tonight. Like some of the stuff you've said is just shame on intelligence. Literally.
I'm very surprised that
yes, because the Mishnah is true, the Torah is true, But what the rabbis of and some of the stuff they've said, if it doesn't match solid scientific facts, at the moment of conception, it's either XX or XY. There is no God out there that does things to make the long arm of the X chromosome shorter, all of a sudden you have a Y chromosome. No such thing. It never happens.
But
And
which
then-
part of what I show you disproving? Which part of it?
Which part of it was?
Which part of what I said here you disproving? You're talking about a Gemara that I don't know where you bring it.
Atmosphere
I have to-
protecting us. There's a God out there that does things.
Yeah, wait, the atmosphere, you're denying that there's atmosphere who protects us from things?
This is all based on the physical laws, perhaps set in those 6
Who created the physical laws?
Right, I understand. God set the laws, perhaps.
Yes.
That's it. There is no hidden hand. To answer your question, whether abortion is murder or not, there is a verse in Mishpatim that says if two men are fighting and one of them hits a pregnant woman and she aborts, but there is no casualty, he pays for the damages. So based on that verse, we want abortion is non-murder. Then there are verses in the Gemara that say...
No, wait. There was a not intentional accident. No, you're misleading her. No. Yeah, that's an accident. If you hit a woman in the street, you didn't know she's pregnant, and she lost her baby, you are not a murderer. That's what the Torah say, not intentional. She asked me about doing it intentionally. It's 100% murder. Don't mislead the people and twist the Torah for your own convenience. It's 100% murderer, the way I told you. But if you hit a woman and she had a miscarriage, what did you know? You didn't want to kill her, you didn't want to kill her baby. So you have to pay for the damages just like you pay for any unintentional damage. So based on what you say now, I probably assume that what you say before is also incorrect, but I'm willing to continue chatting with you. You bring me the proof and I will prove you wrong. But I do not know which source you brought me, so I don't want to comment on something that's not in front of my eyes. But if you want to show it to me, I've been doing it for 17 years and I didn't find one person, include scientists, that disprove one thing of the things I ever showed. And I have scientists from NASA trying to contradict what I say, and we went back and forth in arguments. I had debates with them, and I spoke with very knowledgeable people in science, and in the end they all come back. Either they agree or they agree that they cannot disprove. Maybe they don't accept in the end, but none of them in the end could claim that he won the argument. Now, you have to understand one thing that maybe confuse you. Some of the knowledge in the Talmud came from the Greek scholars. Chazal had some debates with the Greeks. The Greeks were very smart mathematician people, they knew science. Some of the things the Greeks say, Chazal didn't have any knowledge in this field. Why? It wasn't in the Torah. Not everything is in the Torah. Some things that God didn't speak about. He didn't write for whatever reason, he didn't tell us about certain things. So the Greeks were thinking, what's happening? Is this is happening or that's happening? So they've been arguing. For instance, where the chicks become, from an egg, from the white or from the yellow? What do you think? The chick can give birth to an egg now. The chick that comes out, what is the chick? The yellow of the egg or the white of the egg? So let me give you an example. The Greeks used to say the yellow, and Chazal used to say the white, and in the end both of them were wrong. It's not this and it's not that. It's a little microscopic seed that it's in the egg, and the white and the yellow, it's the food for the chick. For the entire time is in the egg, is no source of food. So God prepared for him enough food for the time that is going to be in the egg. This is all the minerals he needs to become a living creature. But they couldn't see, not the Greeks and not Chazal, couldn't see a microscopic seed that you need a microscope because there was no microscope. So they were arguing based on their limited knowledge. Why there was mistake? Because the Torah didn't speak about it. I only speak about what the Torah did speak about. I don't bring things that the Chazal learned from the Greeks. Some of the things the Greeks say they were right. Most of the things they say they were wrong. For instance, the Greeks say that the sun is going around the earth, and Chazal copy from them, and even the Rambam copy it from them, but it didn't come from the Torah. So they say themselves that the Gemara say there was an argument between the rabbis and the Greeks were right. The Gemara doesn't have ego. They say the Greeks were winning the arguments. They can only win arguments, civil arguments, that there was not mentioned in the Torah. What was mentioned in the Torah, you will never find any mistake. Only a general argument. Even today, what do you think? You go to a rabbi and you ask him a question about medicine. What do you think? The Torah spoke about all kinds of medicine? No. So the rabbi, each rabbi that answers questions about life and death and medicine and surgeries, learns a lot of medicine. And he has to know what to answer the people. And the way he does it is sometimes even by calling a doctor. And he asks a lot of questions from the doctor. Now, if the doctor would make a mistake, tomorrow the rabbi is writing his book that this is what needs to be done. 200 years later, when the rabbi will die and someone will read his book, 200 years from now, I say, this rabbi didn't know what he's talking about. Look what he wrote. And we all know it's not correct according to medicine. So disproving the rabbi, it's a lie. He's not the source. He copied from the biggest doctor in Manhattan that gave him this information. So the doctor was wrong, and he misled the rabbis and everybody else. These kind of arguments, maybe you're right. You can find errors. But things that the Mishnah say, or things that came from the Torah, from the written text, we never found any mistake in it. 100%. It's 100% legit. Plus, I always say to people, before you come and think negative, first answer all the things that I show in Torah and science. Show me one of them it was able to be written by a human being. Before we go to errors that you claim there is, first tell me, I show about 40 things over there. None of them was able to be written by a person. The renewal of the moon to 6 digits after the decimal point. There was no calculator. Nobody could measure the renewal of the moon that it will never be less than 29.530589. Nobody would ever know such thing. And this is today, with the approval of NASA, 100% legit. Or the number of the stars. Who would know the number of the stars that is trillions in a generation that you could not see anything? You could only count 6,000, and the Gemara said there is 12 sections, and all the calculations give us 1 and 18 digits. So this is things that nobody was able to know. Only the creator of the world. People choose to ignore all the divine information and focus on something that looks to them like error to relax their conscience. That's not an honest way of argument. First, I had a debate with a priest. You can see it. It's DVDs right there. 3 hours I debated with the priest. He could not answer me one thing. I showed him one mistake after the other in the Christianity. What did he say in the end? He said, you put me in a hole. I don't know, I'm going to dig myself out of there. I told him, I just proved your religion is false. He didn't say no, because he knew. He couldn't answer one question. What did he say? My heart doesn't let me leave it. I know it's false. That's in different words, but I'm already used to it. And my heart doesn't let me go out of it. That's one way. You can say, okay, I know I'm wrong, but I want to stay the way I am. That's one thing. But to come twist the truth to justify a way, I don't like it. This is personally what my opinion is. Go ahead. Louder.
God created you. He's working inside of you. What doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean God can't do it. God is infinitely powerful, and to say that He can't do something means that you don't have, not you, but means that that person doesn't have faith, because that's where faith is like the glue that makes everything. That faith is that gap. That's God.
Yeah, the second commandment tells me not to have faith in anything or believe in anything. I either know there is a God or I don't know there is a God.
Exactly. You have to know God exists.
Look at the impact of believing in a God that does things. The moment your God does things, does supernatural things, you end up praying to the God. Instead of seeking the truth, instead of figuring out the laws of nature, instead of figuring out why things the way they are between humans or what's in nature, you end up praying to God.
There's no contradiction. Right.
That's the impact of believing in a God that does things.
No.
God set the laws of nature in those 6 days, takes me out of Egypt every day by not doing anything and just giving me the Torah to live by. His God does things. Mine doesn't. his God brings rain. His God produces
Your opinion is
stars.
the Greek opinion.
Mine doesn't.
This is what the Greeks say. God created the world and left us alone. But there are hundreds of sources in the Torah, in the text, which you're probably not aware of because you never read the Torah carefully, that shows clearly that God interferes with everything that the Jewish nation does. God, there's hundreds of sources. I'm surprised you say such. I'm sorry, it's very foolish what you say. Because if you read the Torah once, I would show you 400 places now that there is things that happen and God say, I did it to you. I'm doing it to you. I'm giving you bread every day. I'm doing. I will punish you. I will do this. I will enter you to the land. Based on you, God went to sleep. He created the world and whatever happened, happened. But the Torah is the opposite of what you say. You have to understand, if I give you an advice, you maybe know things in different fields, but Judaism, you're still not an expert in. The next time when you argue, you have to prepare to the topic and to know what you're saying. You're misleading the people here. You just told her about an abortion, that it's nothing, you have to pay, but it's 100% murder according to the Torah. And not only that, now you're claiming that God created the world and left the world. If you only read the Torah like a kindergarten level, first grade, you would never dare to say what you just said. The Torah in every chapter says that God is interfering with everything we do. He punished us. He sends the Amalek to fight against us. He made us this and he made us that. And the generation, he made them all die and do not enter the land. And there's so many things. He helped us to build Bet HaMikdash. He sends the Goyim to destroy Bet HaMikdash. He sent us to the exile. What's all this? Based on you, where did you bring these things? I'm surprised you say this was in 17 years. I never heard something so incorrect ever in 17 years. So you got to be careful. Next time you learn before you talk. If you don't know the topic, better not to talk. I also don't know a lot of things. I go to some places, they speak about something that it's not my field. I don't talk. I already learned. Better not to talk with something that you're not an expert than to talk and make yourself embarrassment. Okay, no, I'm not putting.
Read the Torah like a first grader, okay? I'm an intelligent reader.
I say start like a first grader. Then you move to the intelligent.
Torah and science,
Yeah.
and it really embarrasses you. I explained the whole Torah based on solid scientific facts, and it matches. Your Torah is just superstition.
No,
It's like a first
no.
grader.
Praying to God is not superstition. The opposite is an obligation that He told us to speak to Him and ask from Him what we need. And it's a mitzvah from the Torah. Just because we pray to God and not always we get right away what we ask for doesn't mean God doesn't listen to our praise. Same thing, your son can ask something from you and you don't want to give it to him. It doesn't mean you don't listen to his praise. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Thank you for coming. Thank you.